Welcome to the Explainer. So, you know that feeling when you take the very first bite of your absolute favorite food? Let's say it's a rich, decadent piece of chocolate cake. It feels like pure bliss, right? But by the time you're forcing down your fourth or fifth slice, you are just completely over it. Well, it turns out that universal human experience is actually the foundation of a massive, heavy-hitting concept in economics. Today, we're unpacking exactly why that happens as we explore the law of diminishing marginal utility. All right, let's dive right in. Now, if you're a student at Telangana Model School in junior college, you'll know this is a classic 10-mark examination topic, so it's absolutely crucial to get this down. Here's our agenda for today. 1. The concept unpacked. 2. The 6 core assumptions. 3. Connecting TU and MU. 4. Visualizing the relationship. And finally, 5. Exceptions to the rule. Section 1. The concept unpacked. Decoding the acronym LDMU. Okay, before we look at any dense economic textbook definitions, we need to demystify the terminology itself. You know, in economics, big, intimidating terms usually just mask really simple everyday ideas. So let's break it down. First up, diminish. This simply means to decrease or go down. Second, marginal. Actually, a pro tip here, whenever you see the word marginal in economics, just think of the word additional. It literally just means one extra unit. And third, utility, which is really just the fancy academic word for satisfaction or the benefit you get from consuming something. Put the whole shebang together, and the rule is simple. As we consume more and more units of a thing, our additional satisfaction goes down. And that brings us to the formal, classic definition. It states, the additional benefit which a person derives from a given increase of his stock of a thing diminishes with every increase in the stock that he already has. Now, what's really great here is how easily we can translate this jargon into real life. To put it simply, if you already have a massive pile of something, throwing one more item onto that pile is going to give you significantly less joy than when you first started out. Section 2. The 6 core assumptions. The 50 chocolate rule. To really see this law in action, picture this. Imagine I place 50 homemade chocolates right in front of you. And the catch is, you absolutely must eat all of them. For the law of diminishing marginal utility to work in a scientifically measurable way, economists enforce some pretty rigid assumptions. First, your satisfaction must be cardinal. That means we need to be able to measure your joy in actual, hard numbers. Second, absolutely no change in taste. So by chocolate number 16, you can't suddenly say, you know what, I kind of want a savory biscuit now. Nope, it has to stay chocolate. Third, the items have to be a reasonable size, not microscopic crumbs. Fourth, identical units. Same size, same shape, same color. And finally, the most brutal rule of all, no time gaps. You can't eat 10, take a 30-minute breather, and come back. It has to be constant, continuous consumption for the law to apply. Section 3. Connecting TU and MU. Let's eat apples. Let's shift gears from chocolates to apples and look at the actual data. We've got 3 columns here. The unit of apples consumed, your total utility, or TU, and your marginal utility, or MU. When you eat that very first apple, boom, it gives you a satisfaction score of 40. Since it's the first one, both your total and your additional, your marginal utility, are exactly 40. But check out the second apple. Your total utility grows to 70, meaning that second apple only added 30 points of joy. The third adds 20, the fourth adds just 10. The absolutely crucial point is right here at apple number 5. Notice how your total utility stays completely flat at 100? That means your marginal utility for that fifth apple is 0. You got absolutely nothing out of it. And if you were forced to eat a 6th apple, your total satisfaction actually drops to 90, meaning your marginal utility has become negative 10. You are actively suffering from eating that apple. Section 4. Visualizing the relationship. The golden rules of utility. Now let's contrast these two trajectories side by side. If you're a visual learner, imagine mapping this out on a graph. On the left, track your total utility. As you eat apples, 1 through 4, the line arches upward. It climbs and climbs until it hits an absolute maximum peak at 100. And then it actually starts sloping downward to 90. Now on the right, track your marginal utility at the exact same time. This line never goes up. It starts at 40 and immediately plunges. It decreases steadily, crashes right through the 0 line, and just keeps going down into negative territory at minus 10. So one line forms a nice little hill, while the other line essentially falls straight off a cliff. And this brilliantly illustrates the 3 golden, unbreakable rules of utility that you absolutely need to commit to memory. Rule 1. As long as total utility is increasing, marginal utility is decreasing, but it remains positive. Rule 2. The exact moment total utility reaches its maximum peak, marginal utility hits absolute zero. Rule 3. As soon as total utility begins to decrease, marginal utility goes totally negative. They are forever locked in this specific mathematical dance. But wait a second, before we wrap up, I want to ask you something. We've proven this works for chocolates, and we've mapped it out for apples. But does this law always apply to everything we consume? Does literally every single thing lose its charm the more we have it?
Section 5. Exceptions to the rule, when more is actually more.
So actually, no. There are some very specific real-world scenarios where the law of diminishing marginal utility completely falls apart. Situations where more is genuinely more. Let's look at a few. First off, hobbies and collections. If you collect rare coins or vintage stamps, getting your 100th rare coin doesn't give you less joy, it probably gives you way more satisfaction because your collection is getting closer to being complete. The same thing goes for music lovers. Listening to an additional song by your absolute favorite artist doesn't drop your satisfaction to zero. It amps it up. The law also fails with indivisible goods and, really importantly, with complementary goods. Think about coffee and sugar. You can't just consume infinite packets of sugar without the coffee. They're a package deal, so the isolated consumption rule breaks down. And finally, durable goods. Things you use over a long period of time, rather than consuming all at once in one sitting, totally bypass this law. Which leaves us with one final fascinating thought to ponder. We know the law applies perfectly to binge eating 50 apples in one sitting, but what about the bigger things? Does the pursuit of wealth or the collection of lifelong happiness and memories suffer from diminishing marginal utility? Or are they the ultimate exceptions to the rule, where every additional drop brings just as much joy as the first? Think about how this classroom economic law applies to your own life and your own goals. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep asking great questions, and I'll catch you in the next one.